Crusade made him way too biased. Yeah. I mean, there's look, we don't have to talk about it. And about Artos's GOAT list or whatever. It's fine. But now we're settling in. We're jumping in mid-series. I mentioned this before, but if it was available, we could jump into our TvP. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of a Ghost River, we have the French Terran player. The Red Terran, representing Team Liquid, leading the series 1-0. It is Clem. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player from the land of the Netherlands. Representing himself, currently teamless, it is HiGhDrA. Here we go. So we are going to be settling in. Now, game 1 was off stream, so unfortunately we missed out on game number 1, but we're jumping into game number 2 between Clem and HiGhDrA. Let's go. HiGhDrA for a long time was on Team Roddy, and I was mentioning before that HiGhDrA did want to like double down once again in 2024. I remember speaking to him about it, about how he did want to focus on improving and he wanted to have like one last chance. I believe after this season or after this year of StarCraft, he's going to be focusing on his studies. So like before that does occur, he's either focusing on his studies or he's graduating, one of the two. But he's going to have a little bit less time, from my understanding. So before he has less time to compete, he does want to focus on StarCraft, and HiGhDrA has been improving. You know, we've been featuring HiGhDrA in events like OSC King of the Hill, in some of these online tournaments, and now he's here at HomeStory Cup. Delays the expansion for a little bit. It's going to be an economic opener out of Clem, going for a Rax expand. Back at home, HiGhDrA is settling in, going for a Gate Cyber expand. Back at home. Everything looking as it should. Cyril is now a man with gun enjoyer, true. He's turning into a Terran player, Bobby. Smooch. Not like this. As we are settling in. With our initial opener, we're going to be following this up with a factory, so we're not going for a 3 racks or anything crazy like that. We're loading into Ghost River, a much more aggressive map for more aggressive builds. But for the time being, we are settling into our factory, reactored marine production. Clem skipped the SCV scout, no Reaper scout either. So Clem is playing in the dark. We're not fully aware, and we're not going to be aware for quite some time, of the tech of choice of HiGhDrA. We have our Twilight Council back at home. Should be towards Blink. Now Clem is just building up back at home and bleeding out a marine. We'll get a couple of hits in. Adept does manage to escape, just barely. Does slip away. Clem is settling into his 1-1-1. See in chat, yes, as is being stated in the chat, Eon Blue and Mana did already wrap up. So we're going to be diving mid-series into Clem versus HiGhDrA, and then after this series, we're going to be following Clem into Fiant. So Clem versus Fiant will be after this series as well. Now getting to our safety Cyclones. It does make sense, again, just because Clem is a little bit in the dark. In case it were to be something like a Stargate opener, we would have those Cyclones and plenty of Marines to defend for that anti-air. Second Cyclone on the way for a Cyclone drop. Meanwhile, back at home, we have our Blink and we have our gateways of choice. It's going to be 2-gate Blink out of HiGhDrA working towards a third. So a much more economic opener as well. You could argue could be a little bit risky. Again, doesn't take too long at all to move out across the map because we're not moving out with just the Cyclones, moving out with the Marines as well. Here comes the drop. Here comes the second Cyclone. Now, the Adepts will give HiGhDrA a bit of forewarning. We do have a shield battery on the low ground. We have an overcharge as well, but the third base is going to be exposed, and we could go right for it. I mean, there is no third yet. Stalkers do rally together. We head towards the natural base. Blink not quite done yet, but we have the shield battery. So far, we do manage to get the medevac. Medevac goes down. We retain all the Stalkers. Ooh, one Stalker falls for a Cyclone, and we hold. Blink is done in 10 more seconds. We do kite back. So far, so good. Yeah, still within range of the shield battery. Oh my god. We barely... Oh no! We barely blink away. Clutch micro out of HiGhDrA, and we hold. Looking at the trades, that was 1 Stalker and 1 Adept for 11 Marines, a Cyclone, and a medevac. A very nice hold here out of HiGhDrA, and now we can counterattack. Behind this, third base is on the way. Liberator towards the natural as the Stalkers are out on the map, so this is a bit of a dangerous moment for HiGhDrA. His mineral line is going to be exposed. Meanwhile, there's a tank on the low ground. Do we dive in? We do not. We delay the bunker. We do delay. We catch a Marine. Liberator into the natural. Likewise, Cyclone towards the third just to apply some pressure. Oh, and probes are going down. Late reaction here out of HiGhDrA. And the Stalkers know where they needed to be. Forced to recall back home. 5 probes going down. Ay, ay, ay. We do shut down the lib, but it paid for itself. It did pay for itself. Did help make up for the earlier losses. Behind this, we are settling down, getting into our 3-1-1 setup. Observer does confirm the add-on swaps, confirms stim, the tank production as well. Clem is looking pretty stable here on 2 bases, with our bunker and our tanks. And this third base was delayed. What was it? We're calming things down. Slowly entering the mid-game here. We have our Stalkers of map control working towards Colossus production, charge on the way, additional gateways as well. We could actually try to pick up some of these add-ons. The tank is further back, so yeah, we're within range of the reactor. So the reactor could go down. BioArmy does respond. Stim is not done. Bear that in mind. But HiGhDrA doesn't want to get caught out. Does pull away. Does want to get surrounded. The tank is looking a bit exposed. But for the time being, HiGhDrA, okay, he backs off. Getting into a gateway explosion. 5 more gates on the way. Colossus building up. And once stim is done, Clem can move out and Clem can expand. Third CC's on the way. Yet to be taken on location, but we're working towards it. As we go, Clem does move out. Stim is now done. Combat shields finishing up as well. Decent pickoffs to do slow down the push, but a Stalker does get picked off. Ooh, as we rally everything across the map. We have a shield, we have an overcharge, we have a force fields. So far so good. HiGhDrA does force back the army. Gets a couple of swipes in. Shaves off the Marines. Tank a little bit too far back. A second Colossus has arrived. But the tanks again, they want to get behind this rock wall within range of the base. There's a brutal position here at the third. Clem making his way in. We do dive on the army. Tanks on siege. The bind shots. These connections on those zealots. But we do force back the army. Bold blink here out of HiGhDrA. Leaves out a Stalker. Does force a siege. And so far, so good. Again, the goal here for HiGhDrA to just keep the army away from the third. Does reinforce. Third Colossus on the way. Third base isn't spotted. Good splits here. Oh no! Oh, initially it was a good split. We take a mine shot to the face. We clean up the Widow Mines. With the help of this War Prism, we can reinforce, we can juggle the Colossus, and now we can threaten the third base. How the pendulum swings from one player to the other. We are moving out. Cells from one end. The tanks are exposed! Oh, we blink on forward, we focus down the tanks, they both go down. We do have momentum on our side. Boys are being pulled. Can HiGhDrA break through? Do we get some swipes in? 6 SCVs go down. Clem up against the wall. Getting good mine connections on these zealots. We are bleeding out of zealots. Here come more reinforcements. More marauders have arrived. More boys being pulled. HiGhDrA was gaining ground, but that's a lot of marauders. The Colossus, they tickle them, papi. But now we have 3. Third Colossus has arrived. Stalker count being thinned out. The Vikings going ham. They almost bring down 1 Colossus. Now focusing another. Barely keeping it alive. But the Vikings, they're putting in a lot of work, and we have to respect it. We back off. Whew. HiGhDrA retreats. Clem holds on to the third. Clem holds. We retain our Marauders. We have our Vikings building them up 2 at a time. Ghost Academy on the way, and now HiGhDRA's in a rough position. What I'm referring to, like, things are looking, they're okay, but no upgrades. No upgrades here. Double Forge now on the way. We didn't have +1, didn't have anything on the horizon here for HiGhDRA. He was pretty committed on 3 bases. Now we take a 4th. Now we focus on upgrades. Now we focus on tech. All of this wasn't necessarily planned for HiGhDRA, so it's going to take even longer to get into this. To our upgrades, Archon, Storm, and a 4th. So now Clem takes the lead. In a sense, HiGhDRA was pretty all in. Like, he was pretty committed, borderline all in with that push. Clem survived, and now Clem is getting ahead. Now Clem, you can see him skyrocket ahead in supply. Now Ghost production. HiGhDRA needs time. HiGhDrA needs time to allow all this to really kick in. And Clem is being active. Hunts down a couple of these zealots. Rotates around. Would you see HiGhDrA? He does spread out a couple of zealots to keep an eye on the army movement. Scan reveals the 4th. Still just not done. Not quite yet. Could be the next target here for Clem. He is going to be moving out. Clem still reestablishing his economy. 4 CC. Pretty lined up with the 4th base of HiGhDrA. Soon about to finish. Clem moving out. HiGhDrA did spot the move out. He's aware. Getting in position. Now we build up towards 4 Colossus. Oh my god. I was curious. I was like, didn't one of these Colossus take hull damage? Oh, there it is. Oh, we have 4. No disruptors. We're getting into immortal production instead. Pretty heavily reliant on those Colossus. Diving on forward, the first Colossus not going to be going down. The overcharge barely keeps it alive. The overcharge does keep alive. There we go. 1 Colossus finally falls. But we do save the others. That overcharge putting in a lot of work. Behind this 4th base being taken, Clem rotates around and going towards the 3rd. HiGhDrA keeping up. Is keeping up, and now we have our upgrades kicking in. The 4th base is kicking in as well. Big mine shot on the Prism. Prism survives, but the Prism is very vulnerable. It's very low. 1 volley from the Vikings is all we need. HiGhDrA is holding his own. I'm still a little bit concerned about the lack of additional splash damage, like whether it's disruptors and the 2nd robo, whether it's storm, like pick your poison, right? I'm waiting for something here. It can be difficult to just rely on those Colossus, especially now that we're down to 3. Zealots warping in. 4th base fully saturated for Clem. There we go. Disruptor production has begun. 2nd robo on the way. It's going to take a little bit for this to really get underway here, but at least the transition is there for HiGhDrA, for those disruptors. Well, we're getting there. 5th base being taken as well. Yet to take additional gases for HiGhDrA, which would allow us to actually afford double red production. Okay. I was concerned about the SimCity here, but apparently there's a little bit of a gap, so it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, it's like Clem backs off. We're calming things down. Both players are maxing out. And the armies are missing each other a little bit here. HiGhDrA thankfully pulls back, but not fully. And we're going to be pushing forward. A Nova goes off. Raises the army. Only 1 Nova. Yeah, only 1 disruptor. The EMPs are insane, and we just shut down the Colossus immediately. The Colossus fall. No more splash damage. Zealots are coming in. I'm going to be able to kite back and have his way with this army. Yeah, and again, 1 disruptor just is not enough. Not at this stage of the game. Nova goes off. Doesn't connect. And HiGhDrA is getting bullied back. We have more disruptors in production, but before that does occur, Clem, he's stepping on forward. He's just melting the Gateway army. Yeah, HiGhDrA was holding his own, but GG gets caught, and Clem will take the 2-0. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Clem will take it, but a shout to HiGhDrA because, again, he held his own. He even made Clem sweat a little bit, I'm sure, especially when he was pushing towards the 3rd base. We spoke about it. Relying on purely Colossus as the backbone of your army can be difficult. We saw the EMPs blanketed the army. The Vikings went to town. They shut down the Colossus instantly. And without the Colossus, like, there just was nothing left there to really support that main army or to hold it up. We were working towards double robo production, but we were lacking gases. We couldn't actually, I'm pretty sure we couldn't actually afford double robo production just because we were still on 4 gases. I could be mistaken there, but again, because we were warping in High Templar for Archons and warping in a couple of Stalkers, like we were a little bit strapped for gas there for HiGhDrA, and yeah, disruptors were something that he couldn't really rely upon towards the end. Only had the 1 with that. GG. GG, well played. Clem does take it, but a shout out to HiGhDrA again. I don't think he looked too bad in that game whatsoever. I feel a little bit sad that we missed out on game 1. It would have been great to have seen it, but a shout out to HiGhDrA in game number 2. As Clem does take it, and Clem is the favored player in the group. Like, Clem is expected to advance on, but we'll see if anyone can make him stumble on the way out. As up next, we have Clem versus Fiat.